Greetings, comrades, and welcome to How the Red Was Won, a podcast about organizing in the South, Texas, fascism, and how to fight back. I'm your host, Jen Big Nasty, and before we get into it, here's your reminder that I do have a Patreon, and if you like this project, please support it. I could definitely update my equipment, and I would never sell out to advertisers, so give me money directly. That would be amazing. Find me on Patreon. Now, on to today's guest. He is someone that I've been friends with on Twitter for a few years now. He is DSA's favorite Maoist. He is a Twitch streamer, which is something that my old ass still doesn't understand, so I am looking forward to learning about that. Welcome, Chris, aka Black Red Guard. Welcome.
What's up, comrade? How you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for being here on a Tuesday afternoon. I appreciate seeing your face. It's very nice. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? I'd like to hear just about your personal radicalization story. What got you into politics, into left politics, and when did you start studying revolutionary theory?
Probably senior year of high school. Like my parents, they're basically I guess you could say typical black liberal Democrats, but with a sort of, I guess, eclectic black nationalist twist to it. So I grew up watching Spike Lee's Malcolm X, a lot of books about black history. A lot of discussions about how Republicans ain't for black folks. I mean, both of them are big fans of Bill Clinton. I mean, pretty much every black Gen Xer will go to war for that guy. So, I got a little bit of political education, but it was uneven. So, me being a nerd that really didn't have much better to do than sit around and read books all day, I eventually stumbled into communism. Basically trying to explain a lot of the contradictions, a lot of the situations that I was seeing. Probably the big thing that did it for me, and I guarantee you, if you ask any younger millennial black communist this question, probably the thing that did it for me was the murder of Mike Brown, which actually took place in the city that I was born and grew up in. I actually lived in Ferguson for a pretty substantial chunk of my youth. So it was crazy, seeing all this stuff, participating in all this stuff. If you had told me as a kid that Ferguson would be the scene of a massive uprising that shook the globe, I would probably laugh at you. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's just like another sleepy bedroom community. But of course, I was a kid, so I did not know about the contradictions that was going on with the cops and how people were treated. I do remember one time my uncle, he was an alcoholic, so he would go up to the Shop and Shave. It was a old local grocery store. We'd go up there and get alcohol, liquor, some type of way, and come home sloppy ass drunk. And one day the police, it was like a fucking parade. The police car was behind him going at really, really slow rate of speed. He just meandering in the middle of our street. But apparently he received a $560-something ticket for manner of walking along roadway. And I was going through some of my mom's stuff one time, and I found this thing. So, muting my phone. People are very rude. But yeah, so I was sheltered from a lot of stuff, but in another, I guess it was a dual aspect. I was sheltered from a lot of stuff, but I also wasn't sheltered from a lot of stuff. Plus, my mother was also had also fallen into the clutches of the criminal injustice system and spent 2 years and 10 months in Missouri Department of Corrections. So, seeing your mom wearing a khaki jumpsuit and having to visit her in a fucking prison, really doesn't endear you all that much to the American injustice system. So, it was a variety of factors. Not from a wealthy background. We weren't the poorest of the poor, but most of my family still had to work for a living. My grandma grew up picking cotton in Mississippi. She had to drop out of school, I think, in like 8th or 9th grade. Otherwise, her family couldn't have gotten would have gotten kicked off the plantation. They wouldn't have been allowed to stay around there if you had a person that was able-bodied and old enough to go to the field. Your ass went to the field. So just listening to the shit that she used to tell me about how fucked up life was down there, that helped radicalize me a lot too.
Hmm.
Um, I have an uncle who I never even met because he was killed by the police 14 years before I was born, and he was 14 years old.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, so it's just my family history, our struggles as working class, well, previously rural proletarian black folks.
Hmm.
Uh, that helped sharpen my view of certain things. I imagine it would have been remarkably different if I had come from like a bourgeois or petty bourgeois family. But like I used to, I used to see my grandma get up and go to work every day to clean up some white dude's bank or work at the hospital where she was a housekeeper. So yeah,
Yeah. Kind of just born into the struggle, right? And it made sense to study the theory when you've
yeah.
already been around it.
I mean, my upbringing really wasn't all that different from any other black kid in St. Louis. Like, there's a lot of black people in St. Louis who have had parents who've gone to jail, who've had parents that have even been executed by the state.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I was fortunate in some ways, unfortunate in some others. But yeah, being black in America is basically the endless parade of unfortunate events. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of how we respond to them and how we struggle our way through them. And through my study and through my analysis of things that were going on around me, I came to the realization that the only hope for black people is communism.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. It's something that I think white people especially don't always realize is, they think, oh, it's maybe it's worse for black folks in the South, but like every major city that's like a blue city that's run by Democrats, the police are the same everywhere you go. Like it's a racist institution and it doesn't change whatever state you're in, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I consider myself to be a Marxist Leninist. I've read some Trotsky, I've read some Kropotkin, but I've come around to feeling pretty stable in like Marxism Leninism as an ideology. I also, study and uphold Mao. So I think I don't fully really understand what what Maoism is, what Maoism adds to Marxism Leninism. Could you maybe expand on that?
Sure. It's really good that you uphold Mao. Well, you seem more like of a Mao Zedong thought. Like
Mm,
you basically like adhere to Mao while he was alive. But the main turnoff I've noticed from a lot of people that would otherwise call themselves Maoists is that the behavior of certain Western Maoists, who
mm,
most Maoists in the non-imperial core of the global South will not uphold. But when you look at the revolutions that are taking place in India, the revolutions that are taking place in the Philippines, the revolution that's taking place in Turkey, the revolution that took place in Peru, um, all of these were guided by Maoism. So, what is Maoism? That's the number one question that I get. Just to clarify, Maoism is not everything that Mao did up
mm,
until the time that he died. That's great man theory. We don't uphold it. What Maoism is the realization that the Chinese experiment, the Chinese struggle to build socialism, the Chinese revolution, it actually elevated us to a new stage in our understanding of what Marxism Leninism is. So Mao would not call himself a Maoist, just like Lenin did not call himself a Leninist, just like Marx didn't call himself a Marxist.
hmm.
So the syntheses of these revolutionary experiences, these revolutionary projects, only came after the individuals that helped develop these bodies of theory had passed on. Because you can only sum up a person's life, you can only sum up a revolutionary experiment after um, after decades, after a long period of time.
Hmm.
So, for something to become an ism, I guess, like you have to actually you have to have decades to look back on. In the case of Maoism, we have that. Like Maoism as Maoism didn't really exist until the 80s. And a lot of people, like, they attribute one to the other, Communist Party, Maoist Party, as the group that invented Maoism. Like, a lot of people claim that the Communist Party of Peru invented Maoism. And yes, they did play a major role in synthesizing it. And I will always, always, always uphold their positive aspects, because they did. They raised the red flag. They launched a communist revolution in what Fukuyama would term the end of history. Like the neoliberals and the Margaret Thatchers and Ronald Reagans of the world, they were extremely happy. They thought that the specter of communism was forever defeated. And now here you have a literal revolution in Peru. So, but you also have the Communist Party of the Philippines. Many of the conclusions that Presidente Gonzalo came to in 1982, 1983, Comrade Jose Maria Sison, Joma, rest in power, also came to like 20 years earlier. So we can ascribe the creation of Maoism to a variety of different people and a variety of different parties. So what exactly is Maoism, though? Maoism is basically the codification, and again, Maoism is a living science. So it's not just like something that, okay, you have this book here, and this is exactly what Maoism is. Because as dialectical materialists, we realize that things are always in flux. What was right yesterday may not be right today.
Right.
But some basic principles of Maoism are the universality of protracted people's war. As we just saw with our comrades in Palestine, who they literally waged a protracted war, and they were able to defeat the Israeli army in the field. And now the people are able to return home. The Israeli army failed. The IOF failed in every aspect of what it was trying to do. It was not able to crush the resistance. It was not able to exterminate or drive away every single Palestinian person from Gaza. So that proves that you cannot beat a guerrilla war, a protracted war that is rooted in the people and is guided by correct principles. So that's one. The universality of contradiction and the importance of waging class struggle during socialism. Because of China, every fucking day I see another argument over China. And honestly, like, I have never seen anybody's mind changed by a Twitter debate over China.
Or for anything.
Or anything. It's just like, okay, it's like, okay, we're going to wage positional warfare over this country whose affairs we have no control over. But the Chinese experience, the Deng Xiaoping reform and opening up period, Maoists call it the transition from socialism to state monopoly capitalism. I highly recommend Bao Yuqing's book, Rethinking Socialism, along with the Fundamentals of Political Economy, which was actually a Chinese political economy textbook developed in the height of the Cultural Revolution. So, one of the fundamental theses of that book and of Maoism in general is that if Cultural Revolution is not waged, if you allow the ruling class, new and old, to reassert itself in the superstructure along with the base, the economic base, then what's going to happen is you are going to set yourself up for a rebirth of capitalism. That's what happened in the Soviet Union, which eventually led to its collapse, and that's what happened in China, which, credit to them, they seem to be much better at handling state monopoly capitalism than the Soviet Union was. So, and then there are a variety of other fundamental theses of Maoism that you can find if you read the Marxist Leninism Maoist basic course. But for example, New Democracy, I really don't think that's all that applicable to the United States, because we are not a semi-feudal, semi-colonial country. We are a late-stage capitalist, imperialist hellhole, post-industrialist hellhole. So, like, and that would be dogmatism, like saying that, oh, we have to wage a new democratic revolution in the United States. No. Of course, we could also be dialectical with it and say that maybe New Democracy does apply to the conditions of internal colonies who have had their development process distorted by the fact that they are captured nations. So these these discussions are being had in communities of colonized Maoists in struggle, and uh, the only way that you can determine whether or not a line is correct is through practice. To be quite honest, that's why I
Right.
look down. Well, I don't necessarily look down on people, but that's why I look kind of askance at people who spend most of their time engaged in arguments online with various like, where's your social practice? How exactly
Mm,
can you claim that's something that everybody must fold to your line when you have no social practice demonstrating that your line is true? Like,
mm,
yes, I do yield the point that there's never been a successful communist revolution in an imperial country.
mm.
So some third world comrades would say that the third world must break the revolution first. But again, it just seems like once again first worlders throwing our tasks off to people in the third world while we sit back and watch and cheerlead on Twitter.
Just wait for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that's interesting. I like what you said about the internal colonies in the U.S. Is this something that you find that ML Maoism specifically speaks to more so than because like we read like Stalin on the national question, Lenin talks about the national question, and a lot of this I think applies to colonized people and especially here the internal colonies. Obviously, the indigenous people we consider Black Nation in a lot of ways to be an internal colony here. Do you find that Maoism speaks to that? Like it takes it a step further than just Marxism Leninism.
Yeah. Marxism Leninism Maoism does build a lot on the work that was done by Comrade Stalin and various others, Harry Haywood, who
Okay.
actually before his turn to revisionism, dingism, he actually identified a lot with several groups in the new communist movement or the proto Maoist movement in the United States. But you also have the Black Panther Party, which could also be termed as being, well, I was going to call them proto Maoists, but the Black Panther Party was so eclectic, but they
Mm.
did draw heavily from the works of Comrade Mao, and they also, interesting fact, in the Sino-Soviet split, they sided with the Chinese.
Oh,
So
the Panthers did. Okay, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So I definitely think that like Maoism is more up to date with regards to the concrete conditions in which Black people, Indigenous people, Boricua people, Hawaiian people, Indigenous people live. The major pull, I think, what attracts a lot of colonized comrades to Maoism is that the majority of Maoists in the world, especially those who are waging revolutions, are not are not are not white,
Mm,
are not of
hmm.
European descent, and yeah, like people generally adhere to something or take something more seriously if it's not developed by the people that have oppressed them.
That
So
makes sense.
that's why you have a lot more Black revolutionary nationalists who fuck with Mao as opposed to fucking with Marx. Of course, um, they're still going to end up being Marxists because
Right.
you get your Marxism through Mao. But
Hmm.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think in the ideology of the Black Panther Party, Eldridge Cleaver, rest in piss, said something similar. Um, he was like, what he said was like, black people do not want to identify as Marxists because we really don't want to identify with something that has a white person's name on it. So that's a contradiction. A lot of people a lot of people that are colonized in this country, like we're not looking for another white savior.
Hmm.
And of course, this isn't saying that we should be identity reductionists or we should be cultural nationalists and reject everything that came out of Europe. But the main thing that Maoism stresses is that you have to apply these theories to your own concrete conditions. Like a lot of people think that Fanon was saying that we should reject Marx. He wasn't saying that. He was saying that we have to stretch Marx in the context of colonial countries. Otherwise, what's going to happen is exactly what happened to the Chinese Communist Party in 1927. They tried to apply an old school Marxist Marxist method to a country where there were very, very few industrial workers. So, in a country that is maybe 5% industrial workers and 95% peasants,
Mm-hmm.
you probably want to rely on the peasants. Because when
Right.
you rely on such a small group of people, what's going to happen is shit like the Shanghai Massacre. You have a very strong mass base in the working class, but the working class in a semi-colonial, semi-feudal country like China was so small that it really wasn't all that much protection. That's how Mao's line came to predominance through practice. Like he said, okay, we tried that. We tried what we tried what the Trots and all these other people wanted us to do. We tried Chin Dishu's way, and it didn't work. We all got
Mm-hmm.
shot. So let's go to the mountains. We have to, because there's nowhere else we can go. The KMT had the cities, so we could have the countryside.
But yeah, all of that was brilliant. I really like what you said about it all just coming back to practice. Like, we can study history, we can read theory, we can argue with each other online all day, but what it really comes down to is like the work that you're doing in your community and how what reaches the people that you want to reach, you know, like how do we talk to these people? How do we get them to understand that they're being exploited and get them on our side, right? And to yeah.
People understand that they're being exploited. Like, people understand that they're being exploited every time they look at their pay stub.
Mm.
Thing is, like, unveiling to them the roots of their exploitation, because like
Mm-hmm.
people blame a variety of myriad of factors for their exploitation. Some idiots want to blame the Jews, some idiots
Right.
want to blame illegal immigrants, some idiots want to blame the white man. Well, most of these people that are doing this are white men, but like some people want to blame a variety of factors other than the capitalists, the settler
Mm-hmm.
colonial ruling class that has made our life a living hell. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, of course, like most of the people that are doing this are white men.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a race or gender reductionist analysis, what generally happens is you start seeing people who also are your enemy, who also are your exploiter, as your friends. So
Mm-hmm.
Mao taught us to ask, who are our enemies? Who are our friends? So a gender reductionist analysis would have us thinking that just because Hillary Clinton is a woman, that
Mm-hmm.
she's a friend of ours. But a
Mm-hmm.
correct Marxist Leninist Maoist analysis would look at everything that Hillary Clinton has done, would look at the system that she serves. Same thing with Barack Obama, same thing with Kamala Harris, same thing with all of these people. Like, fascism is very fluid. That's one of its defining characteristics. Like, do not read a book thinking that you'll come away with the full-fledged definition of fascism, because fascism adapts itself depending on the country, depending on the conditions that it finds itself in. You had fascism in Haiti under Papa and Baby Doc Duvalier. You
Yep.
had fascism in the Congo under Mobutu Soko. You had fascism. You had, of course, old school German fascism. You had Mussolini's fascism. You had Francoism. You had Ion Antonescu's whatever the fuck he called it in Romania. Like, you even have social fascism. Like, there's all different types of fascism that adapt themselves and change themselves with the ultimate purpose of maintaining control. If you want a one-word definition of fascism, it's control.
Mm.
So to free our people from control, we have to have a thorough analysis of the roots of their exploitation, who is exploiting them, and how we can break free from this exploitation. For example, a lot of comrades, more backwards nationalist comrades, think that if we just get rid of the white man, we'll be good. Okay. As
Right.
Fred Hampton said, then we're going to have black fascism.
Yeah.
If you get rid of all men, okay, that's cool. But now you're going to have Hillary style fascism.
Mm-hmm.
If you, come on, man.
Yeah. No, that's, fascism is fluid is a great statement. And like, it's dialectical like everything else, right? It builds, it changes over time, and it adapts to whatever the current situation is to embed itself and to gain that control, right? That's, yeah, good. I'm glad we're talking. I knew you would explain things really well. I appreciate this. Okay, so let's flow from that into this talk about Black nationalism specifically, and Black liberation. And I know that's a huge topic. I guess specifically, on this continent, right? As an exploited internal nation. Um, what does this look like historically? What does it look like currently? How do you analyze this, and how do you think about it?
No, Black nationalism exists because, well, as Mao said, oppressed peoples want national liberation. Oppressed nations want liberty. So, the roots of revolutionary Black nationalism go all the way back to Harriet Tubman, um, Denmark Vesey, Nat Turner. And we don't have to just look at it like we can't just look at it as something that's specific to the United States. When we start talking about revolutionary Black nationalism, we have to have a transnational view because those slave ships made many, many different stops. That's why I laugh at those ADOS and FBA people who, for whatever reason, are so up the white man's ass that they want to identify themselves to their peril, to their detriment, with the empire that's sinking. Like when people call me an American or when I call myself an American, I'm just talking about my citizenship and my cultural background. Like I really have no real I have no real dog in this fight. If America collapsed tomorrow, I would join the third world and celebrate it.
Yeah.
But so one thing about revolutionary Black nationalism is that it, by necessity, is Pan-African. Like you cannot be a revolutionary Black nationalist without being a Pan-African. So that's why I'm able to identify with comrades from Jamaica, comrades from Barbados, comrades from Ghana, South Africa, Trinidad, Venezuela, Panama, Belize, because we are all descended from Mother Africa. And regardless of our contradictions, most of us are still working class, exploited, toiling people. So we are going to comprise, at the end of this century, a huge percentage of the world's population. So it's politically correct for us to begin the process of getting together. So where did revolutionary Black nationalism come from? It came from the need for us to unite as a people that have been divided and then conquered by European settler colonialism and European exploitation of the resources of our continent, including its people, hence my presence here, along with 42 million other Black people. So, revolutionary Black nationalism is, of course, also socialist in outlook because Black capitalism is simply not going to save us. I read a very, very good book. It's been on my list for months. It's E. Franklin Frazier's Black Bourgeoisie, and a lot of people hate that book because it talks about the absurdity and the general ridiculousness of the Black so-called bourgeoisie. This is a class, a group of people that have no power. They have no political power. They have no economic power. Like, for a national bourgeoisie to be a national bourgeoisie, like it actually has to be able to employ people. Like, how many Black people work for Black-owned businesses? Like, maybe in the low hundreds of thousands. So this is a class that has no real power. It has no real control of any means of production. Like when we talk about the Black bourgeoisie, we're talking about rappers and football and basketball players, and people that are CEOs of companies that ultimately are still owned by white people.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, one of the favorite things I like about Frazier's book is that he talks about how these people are basically deluding themselves, especially the part about the Black newspapers, the Black press. It's just entirely centered around frats and yachts and conspicuous consumption, but no actual real exercise of power. So you have the Ebony Jet magazine that I grew up with. Like they show all these different so and so Mike Johnson became a police chief in bumfuck Florida. I'm like, who gives a shit? Like that is not okay. So he's still ultimately accountable to white people. Huey P. Newton defined power as the ability to define a phenomenon and make it act in the according manner. Black people in this prison house of nations do not have that power. Like, yes, we do make a pretty huge voting block, but other than that, we have no ability to determine our own destiny. We have no ability to we have no control of our means of production in our communities. We don't even have control of our own schools, our own police departments, our own fire departments. Like, we basically live in a variety of Bantu stands scattered across the country that the cops can flood into and shut off at will. Look at any riot. So the goal of revolutionary black nationalism is to get land of our own, seize land of our own, the land that we worked and toiled upon, and build a revolutionary socialist society of our own. And also to liberate Africa and the Caribbean and Latin America from imperial control. So this is a Pan-African project that spans several continents. It's not just, oh, give us a handful of states.
Right.
So we have a massive task before us because black people are under massive contradictions. Like Malcolm X said, if you can't get yourself together in the Congo, then you can't get yourself together in Mississippi, and vice versa.
Yeah, I like that I asked what it looks like here in the U.S. and you were like, no, it's Pan-African. It's all of us together. Very important distinction about like not just like the global proletariat, but like specifically people that are oppressed aside from just being working class. I think that's a really important point. You did mention, and this is the only thing that I want to gently push back on. You said you're talking about the book Black Bourgeoisie, and you mentioned athletes and like rappers as part of that class. And I guess I've always considered athletes, even like highly paid, NBA, NFL, like professional athletes here. I guess I've always considered them to be proletariat. Even though they make a lot of money, they don't own anything, right? They have to work for someone who's literally called their owner. And a lot of times they're not most professional athletes aren't the ones that have like the $20 million contracts, right? I think the average NFL career is like 3 years. And then they leave at like before 30 with like broken bodies. But I am interested in how that you mentioned that you would consider some of those people to be part of the bourgeoisie.
Yeah, because a lot of those people, of course, a lot of those guys squander their money, but
Right.
also
Yeah.
like a lot of them, they once they retire, for example, look at Michael Jordan. This guy has, I think there was something going around a few years ago about how he has investments in a company that owns private prisons. I think they were talking about another Michael Jordan, but like Braun, Kanye, like all these guys, I call them bourgeois because they invest their capital in bourgeois endeavors. And most of their money, of course, it comes from their contract, but a lot of it also comes from like affiliation with other elements of the bourgeoisie. It comes from like Nike, Adidas contracts,
Right.
advertising, stuff like that. So, entertainers are weird, but I would define a proletariat as somebody that has nothing to lose but their chains. Somebody that makes $12 million a year. I don't think can be defined as a proletariat in any universe.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they're like $12-13 million a year, even if you invest half of that. And of course, you can lose money on an investment, but like you're still more well off than the overwhelming majority of the world's population. And then proletariat is also like consciousness, right? Like Lenin said that a proletariat, like a working class and a proletariat are different. Lenin said that we have to think about, no, I think this was Marx. I'm getting my white dudes beards mixed up. But one of them said that the proletariat can only become a class for itself once it rejects affiliation with the bourgeoisie, once it actually starts to act and think as a class that has a specifically defined class interest and fights for that class interest. Like, of course, Braun is donating money to all these schools for kids in Akron. So he has definitely a nation, racial, ethnic, national consciousness.
Mhm.
But do we really think that he's going to be on a picket line anytime soon, or he's going to be leading proletarian holidays if Trump gets rid of SNAP? Like,
Mm.
is Braun going to be leading these people to storm grocery stores? Absolutely not. He'll definitely help fund a food pantry, but
Right.
that's bourgeois philanthropy.
Yeah.
So when we think about a proletariat, who is the proletariat? The proletariat is the advanced stratum of the working class that has nothing to lose but their chains and actively identifies with and moves as a proletariat. It's not just getting a check.
Mm.
Like so many like you had Klansmen that punched time clocks and got checks too, but
Right.
like we wouldn't identify them as proletarians.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Because, it's like how we say, like, cops are class traders. Like, yes, they are working class, but they're not proletariat because they uphold the capitalist system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for that. You've changed my mind. I love that. So let's, you already started to do this, but I'd like to really, like, tie in these ideas of Marxism, Leninism, Maoism into the liberation of the Black nation. Um, I mean, I think I understand how they tie together, but could you explain it?
Sure. And like I've had to struggle with many comrades with many black comrades who identify as nationalists, but they don't see Marxism as particularly useful. And to a certain extent, they're right.
Mm.
Like when they talk about the Eurocentrism of Marxism, Leninism, and to a lesser extent, read through the lens of Western academics, Maoism, then yeah, they're talking about the fact that, like for example, when you read Marx's books or Marx's texts, there's very little talking about the indigenous people. Engels called Mexican people lazy,
Mm.
a variety of other stuff. But Huey said that once we're dialectical and historical materialists, Marx and Engels' racism really doesn't matter because we look we look at them as the scientists that they are. Yes, they said stupid, fucked up shit, but is their analysis of the political system, the economic system that we live under, is it correct or not? That's what I'm concerned about. So when revolutionary nationalists look into a theory, we have to think about, as Kwame Ture said, how can this help black people? How does this serve black people? So how does Marxism, Leninism, Maoism serve black people? Well, it teaches us the importance of realizing that we're not going to be able to reform the system. We can't reform the system away. We can't reform the cops away. Like we can talk about defunding the police, and that is a very, very good reform.
Mhm.
But they're never going to defund themselves. The bourgeoisie, the people who rule us, they need the police.
Right.
They need the police to smash our heads on the picket line. They need the police
Mhm.
to keep us under control. They need jails and prisons to warehouse the reserve army of labor and turn them into slaves.
Mhm.
So a lot of people do not understand like the function of a state. A state is what? It is an armed body of men, well, and women and non-binary people that serves the interests of a class.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people do not have this class understanding of the role of a state, they get into a whole bunch of strange and useless theories, even if they're inspired by righteousness. They
Mhm.
get into, hey, let's just all pool our money together and go buy land together in the backwoods of Mississippi. They get into, hey, let's just open up an urban commune. And like all of that stuff is important. George Jackson and I believe Kulawasi Balagoon, one of my favorite anarchists, actually talked about the need to like begin building things that can eventually become dual power structures in urban communities.
Mhm.
But that is simply not enough. There has to be force behind it. We have to be able to define these phenomena and force them to act the way that we want them to act. How do we do that? Through organization, through application of the mass line, through which the vanguard takes the ideas of the masses, the advanced masses, and wins over the intermediate and isolates the backwards through analyzing the ideas of the advanced masses through the lens of Marxist Leninism Maoist theory and carrying these ideas back to the masses in the form of a line. And a variety of other things. Like we're not, a lot of people are not able to understand the contradictions within the black community because they don't understand the law of contradiction. They think that everybody black is your friend. That's why, like when they get in trouble, oh, could I have a black officer, please? Okay, they'll send you a black officer, but that black officer is going to abide by what the white dude that was there before him told him. Because both of them wear the same uniform, both of them serve the same class, both of them serve the same bourgeois state. So the main benefit I think that black people have from Maoism is realizing that black people that serve the ruling class are many, and these people are not our leaders. Like what nation, what group of people allows rappers and football players to be its representatives on the world stage? And yes, it's very good that we have that cultural capital, but where are our theoreticians? Where are our people who are actually going out into communities doing this stuff? And we have plenty of them, but the ruling class is not giving them airtime, or showing their work, because these people are mostly communists, and the ruling class, of course, is not going to portray communists in a positive light.
Right. Or just kill them. Yeah.
Or just kill them.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to. No, see, with the advent of social media and the internet, they don't have to kill you like they did Fred Hampton anymore. They can just spread rumors. Hey, this person is a so and so. That's why. That's why revolutionary discipline is important. Like I see people constantly spreading rumors without evidence on social media about various organizers, about various organizations, and I'm like, why would you do that? Now, it's different if the organization is actually doing these things and is demonstrably doing these things, ACP, yeah, that's why the New African Creed spoke of the necessity to be so disciplined that you don't spread gossip and you don't lie and inform on people, because a lot of people are condemning their comrades with their mouths.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, because I often think about like the leaders. I don't believe, at least personally, I don't see that we have like a vanguard party in the U.S. right now. And I think the closest we probably ever came to it was the Black Panther Party, and the state at least believed that, whether or not it was true, and that's why they worked so hard to infiltrate and take out the leaders. And Asata had to flee to Cuba, and they locked up so many of them, and the ones they couldn't catch, they just murdered.
Asada fled to Cuba after she broke out of jail.
Right. Yeah. Still amazing that she is down there and still alive. But yeah, that's such a great point that they don't even. I mean, I'm sure they would take out a leader if it looked like something was building in the same way that the Panthers were. But just infiltrating and causing nonsense. You see this shit again. Twitter isn't real life, but so many times you see people that just like nitpick little things that organizations are doing to discredit them and to pick apart. People do make mistakes, and none of us are going to be perfect in our organizing. But I think that we, for the most part, should give comrades that are out there doing the work the benefit of the doubt, unless we have proof that they're being harmful in some of these ways, rather than just letting these rumors spread and really destroy movements in so many ways.
Yeah, and what really gets me is that a lot of these people have studied COINTELPRO. A lot of these people have studied COINTELPRO. A lot of these people have studied. They know what brown mail is, basically when people would send fake letters to the Black Panther Party, and instead of actually being disciplined and giving this stuff to Bobby Seale like they were supposed to, they would just grab their fucking pistol and go after the person who was named in the letter.
Shit.
A lot of people know what this stuff is, but their lack of revolutionary discipline. Most of these people are not in organizations that actively study revolutionary theory and what happens when you don't apply revolutionary discipline. So these people are not in organizations. These people are not organizers. And if you're not an organizer, you're really not a communist. Because how can you be something that that literally has communal in the name, and yet you are not a community with anybody?
That's a brilliant point. Just reading is not enough. Like you said earlier, the practice is really what it comes down to. So you are a member of an organization, St. Louis DSA. How long have you been organizing with the DSA, and why did you choose that organization over like a PSL, FRSO, CPUSA? What drew you to the DSA?
Well, for one, the CPUSA has been garbage since my grandmother was a kid.
Was she a member?
Hell no.
Oh.
No. My grandma was an FDR Democrat. Well, LBJ Democrat.
Okay.
No,
okay.
my grandmother was never a member of the Communist Party of the United States. I think I'm probably the first communist in my family.
In your family, okay.
That I know of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Some of them, I think, in the South, they might have organized with the Sharecropping Tenant Farmers Union, but again, I'm not sure. That's just conjecture. But PSL and Frizzo, I have comrades that I respect in all three of the organizations that you named, but I just don't see myself in an organization that, for one, has a line that I disagree with. And I respect other organizations enough to, hey, we're going to have problems. There is no Maoist organization in the United States. There's no Maoist party in the United States. So why would I go join a PSL or a Frizzo knowing that I'm going to have remarkable line differences? Like I always tell people, don't just join an organization just to say you're in an organization. Because if you disagree with the line of that organization, and that organization practices democratic centralism, and you don't have the discipline to be like, okay, I disagree with this, but I can't talk about this in public, and you talk about it in public, then you get expelled. That's on you. A lot of people don't know what democratic centralism is. So I know what democratic centralism is. And being a Maoist in the United States, I know, especially like a well-known Maoist in the United States, like if I tried to join PSL, those people would probably look at me, Chris, what the fuck are you doing? Black Red Guard wants to join PSL? Oh, you like China now, do you? So, yeah, that's why. DSA offers space for a variety of political views and opinions to exist. Like, as long as you abide by the DSA program and platform, then you're good.
The DSA doesn't. They don't practice democratic centralism, right? Like that's why they're more of an umbrella kind of organization.
DSA is basically a mass organization.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it's the fact that it doesn't practice democratic centralism and it doesn't have like a hard line other than the program, the platform that you must adhere to. That's why it's the largest socialist-oriented organization in the country. So, why did BRG join DSA? Well, for one, just looking at the state of the Maoist left in the United States, like there's really nothing much else to join. Like you've got a bunch of book clubs that may or may not turn into cults, and I love my Maoist comrades. Like I literally helped organize a Maoist organization, FTP, several years ago that collapsed for a variety of reasons, namely because of feuding egos and a lot of us didn't know what the fuck we were doing. We made some damn good flyers. Other than that, like, come on. Maoists are really, really good at writing stuff, but we're very, very bad at organizing. So I've been telling Maoists to join DSA because, like, the stuff that we need to be doing, DSA can teach you. Like, you need to learn how to canvass. You need to learn how to do social investigation and class analysis in the American context. Like, you can read about it all you want, but, like, you only learn through actually doing it. So, I joined DSA in August of 2023. They elected a very heavily left-wing. Yes, DSA does have a left wing and a right wing.
Yeah, every org does, for sure.
There you go. Yeah. The importance of line struggle. But DSA elected a solidly left-wing NPC, basically the highest body of the the highest body is the National Convention, but the highest body outside of the highest body, the NPC. So that's what induced me to join. Plus, it's again like if we're talking about organizing the masses and bringing Maoism to the masses, DSA is where the masses of advanced people in the United States are when it comes to socialism.
That's a good point.
Like, imagine me trying to advocate and organize and agitate for Maoism in Frizzo or DSA. I'm not Frizzo or fucking
PSL or whatever. Yeah. What does it look like on the local level for you? Like, are there other Maoists in your specific cell?
Yeah, like 2 or 3. It's not a cell; it's a branch.
A branch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like hardcore Maoists, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But people who are interested in Maoism, probably 8 or 9.
Okay, that's great. That's big.
Yeah.
I know, and we don't have to super get into this. There's always, again, this is like Twitter drama, and I don't know how real any of it is. But I feel like within the last couple of weeks, there was even some like DSA drama happening online. Is that any of that relevant? Like, does it even affect you or the work that you do?
There's drama every hour of every day.
That's true.
And I've been trying to be like more intentional with keeping shit in house.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you put disagreements that you're having, or you partake in these online shit fits, what happens is people who are not organized, people who are thinking about getting organized, or people who are not organized, what's going to happen is they're going to be like, Jesus Christ, this place is a shit show. I'm not going to subject myself to this. So what that type of behavior does, venting and ranting online, what that does is that aids and abets the enemy. That aids and abets with demoralizing and disorganizing your organization. That there's really no benefit. Now, it's different if there's like actual abuse.
Right.
Then that, of course, needs to be exposed.
Of course.
Or if there's an unsafe person, like demonstrably unsafe person, but like just theory debates, squabble, like what purpose does this serve putting these types of things before the enemy? Like Malcolm X said, when you have a disagreement, people call you uncouth if you get out on the street and start fighting with your neighbor, fight with your parents, or fight with your brother and your sister. Go in the house, get in the closet, and hash it out there. And then when you come out on the street, then you present a united front.
I like that a lot. A lot of that I think is just like wrecker behavior too, like we were talking about earlier, like coming in and sowing just, little squabbles here and there that spill out. And that's a really good point.
People have asked me, when do I plan on splitting DSA? I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why would I join an organization just to ruin it?
That's,
Like, that's a very parasitic way. Most of the people that I see that engage in that behavior, they're too afraid to try to take their line to the masses themselves. So what they do is they prey on other organizations. Like, one time they're in the CPUSA. Then 5 months later, they're in DSA. Then after they've done their dirt in DSA, here they are over here. Like, what, bro? Like, that's a horrible way to live your life.
This is doing the Fed's job for them. Like, what are you even doing when you're... Yeah, why would anybody want that much drama on themselves? Like, let's just...
I don't know. Some people thrive off of it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the work that you do within and outside of the DSA organization. I definitely like to learn more about your Twitch stream and what you do with streaming, but as well as like work on the ground.
Okay, sure. So in DSA, I'm on the executive committee. Basically,
nice.
Most chapters call it steering committee, but it's basically the leadership body of the organization. I'm corresponding secretary, which means that I handle emails and correspondence from the chapter and stuff like that.
Oh my god, I need one of those so bad. I'm the worst at email. Okay, correspondence secretary. I need one.
Corresponding.
Corresponding.
I'm also pretty heavily involved in our chapter's political education.
Nice.
I'm actually going to be helping lead a study group on George Jackson's Blood in My Eye.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're an STL, come out February 25th.
Everyone read that book, please, for the love of God. If you are worried about quote unquote rising fascism in the US, like read George Jackson and it will all make so much more sense to you. Such an important book. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. So that's pretty much what I'm helping to do on the ground. But STL DSA has a lot of work. Really strong actually in electoral and labor work. Actually, we have a very, very good working relationship with Starbucks Workers United here in town.
Yes, good.
Yeah, very militant young group of comrades, many of which are queer. And we are also helping to run a candidate, Miss Inez Bordeaux, for the 3rd Ward automatic seat. So, yeah, a lot of shit.
Nice, very cool. And yeah, do you do political education on your Twitch as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to start doing this thing. I think I said I was going to start doing this last month, but Theory Wednesdays, like basically I do a short reading of like, I don't know, a news article or something like that from Robert F. Williams, and talk about it and try to put it in a current context. But yeah, it's not just me. It's not just me sitting up and playing video games, but I generally do end up playing video games.
Yeah, what are you playing right now?
I'm waiting for Civ 7 to come out.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, I play a lot of Civ. I play a lot of Age of Empires. I play a lot of Tropico, and City Skylines.
Nice. I will definitely link your Twitch in the show notes so that people can find you there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So how can non-Black comrades help support Black liberation movements? Like where do you think that the allies kind of fit into this puzzle here?
Organize your own communities.
Mm.
Like, that's what every Black revolutionary nationalist thinker has said, from Malcolm to Kwame Ture to Asada. Like, we can organize our own communities.
Mm-hmm.
What we need for white comrades to do is to organize your own communities. Like, what point is it coming to a Black neighborhood after the police have murdered somebody saying, "Well, Black Lives Matter"? Like, the main thing is convincing white people that Black Lives Matter. Like, that's work that you guys can do. Like, they're not going to listen to me. They're going to listen to y'all. I'm not going to go into Appalachia or a trailer park in Micanopy, Florida, trying to organize people there, because it's not going to work. I'm not from there. That's how come white people try to organize in the hood doesn't work, because they don't recognize you. They see you as an outsider. Right. So if I go trying to organize in Appalachia, or I try to organize in a trailer park or a working class white community, they may be very polite. They may, yeah, you're right, buddy. But they're not going to acknowledge me. They're not going to take me seriously politically, because that's white people's work. That's why Fred Hampton did not send the Black Panthers to organize the Appalachian community in Uptown. He worked with the people that were already there, the Young Patriots Party. So that's what has to be done today. It's not segregation. It's just common sense.
Yeah. I think a lot of white people struggle with that. A lot of folks are definitely like recognize that white folks shouldn't be like leaders in the movement, and a lot of people believe in like these ideas of land back and of like Black national liberation, and rather than doing what you're saying and going out into their own communities and talking to white people about that, they kind of get afraid and like sit on their hands. But that's a brilliant point, is that talk to other people that look like you, talk to people that you know that are comfortable with you, your coworkers, your neighbors, the people in your community, and tell them those things.
If you're if you're afraid of your own people, if you're afraid of other white people, what benefit do you possibly have to offer Black people?
Right.
Like, we're not looking for kamikaze pilots.
No. Do you have any reading recommendations? You did mention a few books, and I took note of those, and I will also put some links in the show notes for that. But other than what you already mentioned, which was Black Bourgeoisie and Rethinking Socialism, anything else you really think that people should start with or read next?
Yeah, I really think that in keeping with the topic that we just discussed, white people organizing in white communities,
Mm.
I highly recommend Hillbilly Nationalists, Urban Race Rebels, and Black Power. It's I believe it's on AK Press. It was written by Amy Sonnie and James Tracy, and it talks about the Young Patriots and the Rainbow Coalition. It was published in 2011, and I highly recommend it to every white comrade that I run across that asks me for book recommendations. Also, the Marxism Leninism Maoism basic course, because I don't think I gave a really thorough explanation of Maoism, but I highly recommend that comrades check that out to understand
Okay.
more about where Maoism came from.
MLM basic course, that's a book or that's literally like a course to take?
It's a book. Maoists don't offer courses. We're not self-help. We're not self-help gurus.
I'm just making
Although,
sure.
although some of Mao's stuff actually does read suspiciously like self-help stuff.
Yeah. In like a good way though.
Yeah,
Because it
like a
is
good way.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so any one thing I did want to I added on here on the end. Donald Trump is president again. I think a lot of us did see this coming, and I think a lot of people saw that the Democrats were moving so far right that they were probably going to enact similar things to what he has been doing. Obviously, Trump enacts things with a fist rather than just like a gentle a gentle push. But what do you think the struggle in the next few years looks like for Black Americans, maybe for the LGBTQ community, the immigrant struggle? Right, we know these things are all connected. Do you think it looks different under Trump, or how are you moving forward?
I think the struggle is definitely going to be much more comprehensive than it was in 2016, 2020.
Mm.
Well, honestly, the struggle never really died. I want people to get out of this method of thinking like, oh, Republicans are in power. Now we have to go out on the streets. Oh, Democrats are in power. We could take a 4-year break. Like, no.
Right.
As we saw last year, year before last, the struggle never takes a break. There are always things, there's always work to be doing at all times. So what is the struggle going to look like? Trump knows what he's doing now. Like
Mm-hmm.
2016, 2021 was so chaotic because he didn't really know what he's doing. But now he has all of these Heritage Foundation people whispering in his ear.
Mm-hmm.
And like you see, he's coming in hot. He's trying to send ICE agents to schools, children's hospitals. He's putting out all these executive orders and shit. Like people were literally horrified this morning when they woke up and found out that he's frozen federal grants and loans. People were trying to figure out how they were going to eat this month because they thought that Trump was cutting food stamps. Now they're rolling it back. But still, like, it's just, and these people are doing this stuff on purpose. They want to keep you off balance so that you're constantly running around putting out fires and you don't have time to just sit and thinking, how do we move? How do we strategize this? They want you focusing on tactics, not on strategy. So, am I going to tell people not to panic? No, because, like, it's not my place to police people's emotions and police people's thoughts, especially me as a cis gay man. Like, I have no business telling my trans comrades how to feel. I have no business telling my undocumented comrades how to feel. Like, that's not my place. So if you need to freak out for a little bit, if you want to scream into a pillow, if you need to find a community where you can go to relax, rest, and recuperate, by all means do that. Like, we're not trying to turn you into militarist Stakhanovites. That's a recipe for breakdown. And I saw a lot of people have nervous breakdowns during Trump won. I don't want to see that again. I know people that have PTSD from Charlottesville. So yeah, while this stuff looks sexy on the internet, like Charlottesville, all this stuff like that, it's also like actual real fucking people are still fucked up behind that. Like, imagine you're marching, and then a fucking car comes and you see people's legs and heads get ripped off. That's not, people shouldn't have to go through that.
Right, and that stays with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit stays with you. But what are the next 4 years going to look like? It's going to be brutal. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. But we're revolutionaries. We'll get through it. Join an organization. Join DSA, ideally, so you can be comrades with me. But join do your research first. Don't
Mm-hmm.
just join shit just to join shit.
Right.
I really, really like SRA, actually. I'm also a member of SRA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really close with well, I wouldn't say really close, but I've talked to their upstate New York chapter quite a bit. They're terminally online like I am, but they're good people. Yeah,
Yeah, the
but
Austin one is just now getting started back up, so I'm looking to probably join that too myself. And it does look like because of the Trump administration, some of these groups are probably going to see rapid growth again,
yeah,
like they did in 2016, 2017. So that can be good and bad. Like I think we just have to be careful that a lot of these people that are newly joining the fight aren't just like disaffected liberals, and that it is our job to like radicalize them and educate them as much as we can when
definitely.
they're around. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, any closing thoughts? And if you'd like to let the people know where they can find you, your different projects, what you're working on, anything you feel like was left out, please drop that now.
All right. Well, if you're an STL, I highly recommend that you join St Louis DSA. You'll. Oh, I don't think meeting me is the main benefit of being in DSA, but yeah. I try to get to as much stuff as I can. But yeah, my Twitch is OG Black Red Guard. My Twitter is the same. And I also have a Patreon, which is Black Like Mao. So if you, for whatever
Okay.
reason, want to buy me more flat caps, then you can subscribe to my Patreon, which I do need to update more. Yes, I know.
Yeah, same. I like that. Just buy me a new hat.
Yeah. I mean, or I could just subject people to my bald head. Really makes no difference to me.
There's nothing wrong with that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Chris. I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the just a massive amount of knowledge that you dropped, and bringing some light onto what Maoism adds to Marxism Leninism. I think that's very helpful to people who might not quite understand, or maybe like I think people have a bad internet poisoned idea of what Maoism is, and that it's really important to hear from actual people in the struggle that study these things rather than just like bullshit online. That goes for anything, but with ideologies as well.
Okay.
So yeah, with that, thank you so much for being here, and cheers, everyone.